But the best zinger of the day may go to the White House, which released a statement that reads in part, quote, Chairman Schiff's report reads like the ramblings of a basement blogger straining to prove something when there is evidence of nothing. So, do Democrats really have the goods, or will this case fall apart like a wet paper bag? Well, let's meet tonight's party panel. Oh, good. We've got attorney and Republican strategist Alexander Wilkes. We've got a Democratic strategist and Celtic Strategies LLC co-founder Kevin Walling, and criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor. Oh, yeah, he's played both sides of the ball. David Bruno, our 60-minute man, is here. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for having us.
Good to be here, Kennedy.
So we're going to see the shifty shift from the Intelligence Committee to the Judiciary Committee. What is the significance of tomorrow's hearings?
Well, tomorrow there will be 4 attorneys in front of the Judiciary Committee to, I guess, give their advice whether or not these allegations rise to the level of impeachment. And by the way, we've been here earlier this year when John Dean was here, and he was talking about the Mueller report. And they used the same playbook in front of the judiciary to try to sell it to the American people whether or not the Mueller report supported impeachment, which it did not. And they may lay flat on their face tomorrow again. It'll be interesting. Jonathan Turley will be one of the 4 who is a defender of the president, so we will get his opinion.
He is, but Turley has also said something was wrong here. But his threshold for impeachment seems to be measurably higher than the 3 other constitutional experts who are going to testify before the Judiciary Committee.
I'm with Turley on that, too. I mean, if the president would have called me prior to that call, I would have said absolutely not. Go through the Department of Justice to run that investigation. And that was his problem. President, I'm here for you. But that was his problem. He should have done it through the Department of Justice. But I agree with Jonathan Turley. I do not see this as an impeachable offense.
All right. So has the case been made strongly enough for impeachment? Are there enough people on board? Because it doesn't meet Nancy Pelosi's threshold, because she said she wanted this to be a bipartisan affair. And so far, you don't seem to have a lot of Republican defectors.
Yeah, we don't see a lot of Republican support. We see some among the American people, right? So impeachment stands at about 50%,
on the poll you look
right? At. So America's divided on this, right?
At best.
Which is
That's a CNN poll, but the Quinnipiac poll shows something different. It actually shows support for impeachment and removal has softened since the hearings began.
Yeah. But we see those numbers higher than they were during Clinton's impeachment and Nixon's impeachment. So the American people are split on this, but moving in the right direction.
But that's also dishonest because, you know, you've got like an 80% split. So 80% of Republicans say no impeachment, no removal. 80% of Democrats say yes impeachment, yes removal. So, again, when you mash those 2 things together, it's chocolate and peanut butter.
It's probably evenly divided, but it's up to the Democrats to make the case starting tomorrow, as David was saying, with these constitutional experts. I think the 300-page report that we saw coming out, the most interesting thing to me was
why release that when the president's overseas? And this is what's so curious to me. The president's overseas. NATO is obviously a big deal. I'm going to talk with Mike Baker about the future of that alliance, what it means right now. And Democrats are making the case that here is Ukraine, incredibly vulnerable. They need to protect themselves from Russia. This administration is withholding military aid from the worst actor, arguably, in Europe, the Russians. And they, you know, Ukraine has to be protected. So why not let him do that and go over and shore up alliances during this NATO summit?
Well, that's what I find to be particularly hypocritical about all of this, is that all the Democrats that were concerned about NATO and so concerned about our alliances around the world choose to do this spectacle while the president's overseas. It feels distasteful. It doesn't feel like something we should be doing at this time. I think that David was right when he was talking about how the Mueller playbook sort of failed. And I think that the Democrats did an enormous disservice to themselves and really the American people by hyping that report up so much. I mean, if you remember,
that's what Hillary Clinton said. She said she was going to wait to see what the Mueller report said before she decided to run for president.
Yes, I mean, we have the Mueller report, and then they held the committee hearings where they sought to have the Mueller report come to life, living history for the American people to view.
They were like, Mr. Mueller, could you please read some of the...
It was a little bit of a doozy.
Could you read this passage? And Robert Mueller's like, no, I can't. No, I don't know. I don't know what it says. I don't remember. I did it. It's done. I don't care. I didn't really read it. Can you just let me go home?
I mean, this is a 300-page report that they're releasing 3 weeks before Christmas.
I know, but why drop it the night before the judiciary?
Sure. I mean,
don't you want,
first of all,
don't you want representatives to read and internalize all that so they're best prepared to ask some of these constitutional experts about the crimes that have been laid out?
It's not just the representatives. How about the witnesses themselves? How are these 4 legal scholars going to be asked questions about this without getting through that? And if I were on that panel, I wouldn't be reading the 300 pages. I would be preparing for the questions, what's going to come, the law. They can't
possibly do both.
They cannot possibly read the 300 pages if they're going to be prepared for the other questions that are going to come. So timing absolutely stinks. I don't get it. I just don't understand why they're doing this the way that they are. And why didn't this start in the judiciary as well?
Well, I mean, it should have. If you're talking about precedent, and Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi have been invoking that word quite a bit, the rule of law, the Constitution, the rule book, how we've always done it. But they're kind of violating that. And I think that the worry is Americans are going to tune out for this one because they've already made up their minds. And they don't need experts looking down their noses, telling them how to think and feel about the president's behavior. If they hate the president, they're still going to hate the president. If they love the president, it doesn't matter what these academics say tomorrow.
It's a very good point. Yeah, I mean, I doubt we're going to see really high ratings for this hearing to begin with. I think one of the reasons why I think it came through the Intelligence Committee, I think it's twofold. Number one, I think Adam Schiff is a much better chairman than Jerry Nadler, to be blunt.
Yeah, I think Jerry Nadler blew it.
I think
he blew with Corey Lewandowski.
I think Adam Schiff ran a really tight ship for this effort. And number two, this all started with the whistleblower report, which was an intelligence community issue that came forward that started the basis of this investigation in the president, and it made sense for that to happen. Now, this is also a culmination of the work that the Oversight Committee has been doing and the Foreign Relations Committee is doing, and that's part of this 300-page report
I think Schiff and Nadler both have to be very careful because they're flexing, they're falsely confident, and Lindsey Graham and the Republican senators are sitting there taking notes going, oh, really? Like, that's how you're going to run it because you're in charge there? We're in charge over here. We're the big pants people. And it's going to be a little bit different when you come to the Senate trial because the gloves are coming off and they're going to call a bunch of witnesses, not just a few to abstract, to forward a narrow narrative, but, you know, some that will be wildly entertaining, if nothing else.
Yes.
Just like as the impeachment fiasco unfolds, the president is holding out for his ace in the hole, Michael Horowitz, to drop his report on the FBI investigation into the 2016 Trump campaign. The president obviously hopes it makes him look good, but leaks from inside the DOJ continue to suggest the report might not deliver for the president. While speaking at that NATO event today in London, the president said this.
I hear there's a lot of devastating things in that report, but we'll see what happens. The IG report is a very important report. If what I read is correct, that would be a little disappointing, but it was just one aspect of the report. We'll see what happens. We'll see it. It's coming out in a few days. I hear it's devastating, but we'll soon find out.
Disappointing. That sounds like my mom after I got that dragon tattoo on my neck. So will the Horowitz report confirm the president's claim that the FBI treated him unfairly, or did Donnie T-Bone put too many chips in one basket? Alex, what do you think?
Well, so look, I think as a general matter with these reports that each side sort of hypes them up to be, to a place where it ultimately doesn't go, which can be problematic. That being said, I think that if you...
But I think that's where we are in politics in general.
That's true.
Each side is going to take the exact same thing and pull something completely different from it, and it's very frustrating.
But what you see, I think, among Trump supporters especially, is that there is this deep skepticism about what happened in 2016 and the surveillance of the Trump campaign. And the fact that this report is going to come to light, the fact that this report had any legs at all, I think speaks to these voters' willingness to put him into office, to expose what may have gone on. Because if this had been a Hillary Clinton administration, we certainly wouldn't have seen, the fruits of this report. And so I think that for a lot of people out there, it's going to sort of give credence to whatever it is that you already believe.
No, absolutely
but it'll be closure, I think, for a lot of these.
And if it's not as damning for the people at the top, Democrats will say, see, we told you so. We're completely justified. And if it looks like it's whitewashing anything, there are a lot of Republicans and the president's supporters who will say more evidence of a deep state. Here you go. Here's the Inspector General of the Department of Justice protecting his own. So is it really a no-win for everyone?
I think it's a no-win. I think people have actually already moved on.
Should we just give up and go straight to anarchy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's way more fun. As the token Democrat on this panel, let's do it. Let's do it. No, I mean, I think, to Alexandra's point, I think it makes a lot of sense. There'll be nuggets of which people, just like Gordon Sondland's testimony, where the president said, this is great, and Democrats said, this is great,
he said no quid pro quo, and Democrats going, he said quid pro quo.
Exactly. So these folks will find something in that report to justify either the investigation's origins or the exoneration of the president.
That's fine. But either way, it's not enough to impeach. And I understand that the Inspector General's report is different than all of that, but for a lot of people who are just tuning in and just paying attention, it's all the same blob. And I don't think the blob is sticky, and I don't think it pulls down the king.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like the Mueller report and the Russian interference. It really does.
I mean, there are Democrats who want live readings, like live dramatic readings in the Mueller report, as though if they changed the intonation, it would say something.
That was the intention of the Mueller hearing, of bringing him in front and testifying. And again, that fell flat. And I just hope that the president didn't set the bar too high on this IG report. I mean, because we have heard that the campaign was spied upon and like really, really difficult things to prove. And if we don't get that, I think he's going to fall a little short. My advice to him would be take it for what it is. Take what you can from it. Don't try to go against the report itself and try to dispute facts. Take it for what it is. Take what you can get from it.
I agree with you there. And I think there is something advantageous for both sides if they do that. If they take it and just give a technical dissemination of what is actually in there and not use a bunch of adjectives, that would serve the American people so much more. But unfortunately, I think everyone in D.C. is their child, not the panel. They are very adult-like, and we'll do some more adulting later. But first...